Hello, this is my final for organizational behavior. So I will be naming 10 concepts, and then I will be telling you what chapter that they're from, and I'll explain why I chose those concepts as my top 10. So for number 10, I would say my 10th concept would be appraisal systems, because as a manager, it is important to evaluate somebody and like to know how they're going to be, but I just think that they're, out of the other 10 that I have, I think they are more important than um, that one. So then number 9, I would say, is incentives. Um, incentives are important, but I feel like, I got the appraisal systems from chapter 5 in the book. I forgot to mention that. And then incentives I got from chapter 6. So I think the incentives are still important, like I said, but as a manager, I don't think that should be like one of your top priorities, I guess. So yeah. And then for number 8, I would say is probably negotiation. I'd say 8. I got that from chapter 9 because again, it's important to be able to negotiate and to be able to try to convince somebody a different way that they wanted. Number 7, that's going to be networking. I got networking from chapter 2 in the book. Networking, again, these are all important, but networking I just don't feel like it's as important as these next couple, just because it's a very important trait to have as a manager, being able to reach out and talk to other people outside the workplace too, and to maybe get people to come in. Number 6, I had how to hire and fire. So that's from chapter 3 in the book. You'd think this one would be higher up on my list, but I just don't think I don't think it is, just because there's better ones. But I chose that at number 6 because it's still important to be able to hire and fire people. There's definitely different ways to do it and to look at it. So yeah, I don't know how else to say it. It's like there's other managers have different um, ways of hiring and firing people, and sometimes it works out good for them. Usually it works out for everybody, but there's definitely better ways to do it. Um, so then number 5, I have how to give feedback. So I got that from chapter 5 in the book too. As a manager, it's very important to provide good feedback to your employees, and just trying to help them prosper and to be better employees, I guess. And to feedback also could inspire the employees to work harder and to maybe go above and beyond what they thought. And yeah, I'd say that's pretty much it about feedback. At number 4, I have workplace conflicts. I got that from chapter 9. Yeah, as a manager, you got to be able to address conflicts in the workplace and try to come to a better understanding from it. You got to be able to calm a situation if it gets to that point. You got to make sure everybody's on the same page and whatnot. So yeah, I would say workplace conflicts is more important. And you might ask, well, isn't that kind of similar to hiring and firing, or to firing employees? But I think there's a fine line between addressing conflict and firing somebody, because addressing conflict, I don't think that's along the lines of firing. I think it's just because conflict is more involved of just little discrepancies instead of major ones that involve firing. So I think there's some differences there. At number 3, I have, what was I going to put there? At number 3, I have improved job satisfaction and performance. I got that from chapter 4. Um, that's kind of along the lines of feedback too, just uh, giving the workers more more initiative to be better at their job and just do it or have ways to make them the best workers that they can be. I think that's a lot more important as a manager, because performance is obviously very necessary for a good work environment. So again, I think that improving job satisfaction and performance is very good, and especially for the manager too. You want to be satisfied with the job that you do and the performance that you provide. So always, like, keeping yourself in mind, working on yourself. I think that's it goes both ways. It's not just for the employees; it's for the manager as well. And then at number 2, I have creating a team. So as a manager, I got that from chapter 8, and the reason why I picked that as number 2 is because a team is very important to have in the workplace. Even if your industry doesn't involve teams, it's still good to have a collaborative group to give feedback on maybe an individual thing that you're doing with a client or whatnot. But in marketing or management, there's going to be teams. So as a manager, having the ability to create a team, I think, is crucial. Having the ability to create a team that's going to be exceptional at what they do and to generate profit for the industry or business that you're in, I think that's immaculate. So, and then of course, number 1, I think culture is the number 1 concept that I had. So I got that from chapter 10. Culture, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. In a workplace, culture is one of the top things that every business looks at, or what they identify as themselves as, is how do we identify our culture? How do we show that we're different from other people? What do we do as a company that stands out compared to other companies? And culture has a lot to do with that. And then as a manager, creating a positive culture just makes so much more benefits for your company. I've been around bad cultures and I've been around good cultures, and let me just say, it is way better to be a part of a good culture. It's way more fun. It's not hostile. It's actually makes you look forward to showing up and being there. So I think that's why I put culture at number 1, and those are my top 10 concepts. Thank you.